All right, welcome back, World History. This is Unit 5.1, Part 3. You might be thinking, wow, there's so much here in Unit 5.1. And the answer is yes. This is just so much for us to look at. And you could spend a whole semester just talking about one of these subjects, whether, it's the beginning of the Renaissance and how the Renaissance came about, or it's talking about, the ideal Renaissance man and Machiavellian politics. But I wanted to close Unit 5.1 talking about something that everybody's familiar with, but not everybody is passionate about. But I want to strongly encourage you to take a few moments and to really survey what Renaissance art was. We don't have time to do a complete detailed overview of Renaissance art, but I wanted to introduce you to some of the main players of Renaissance art because this is a time in which some of the greatest works that are still around today, that are known to mankind, were put into place. And Renaissance art is when artists come in and they try to imitate nature. It's very realistic. We do sculptures in addition to what's known as fresco, which is the most popular type of painting that you will see. And fresco is painting that is done on fresh, wet plaster using water-based paint. Sorry for the misspelling in the slides here. And the most celebrated figure of the Italian Renaissance art movement was the Renaissance man himself, and that is Leonardo da Vinci. And Leonardo da Vinci has a fascinating story, and we're going to talk about Leonardo da Vinci, Raphael, Michelangelo. I guess we need to probably talk about Donatello, and then we will have covered all of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But for Italian Renaissance, it comes from Da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Raphael. And Leonardo da Vinci, unlike other Renaissance artists, he never received any kind of formal education. He was instructed at home, so he was homeschooled, where he started to learn about reading and writing and math. And he also spent a lot of time outdoors and just observing nature. And he would just have journals where he would just observe, write down what he had observed that particular day. He was very fond of birds. And when he's a teenager, at about the age of 13 or 14, people see something in him and think that he has a lot of potential. And so they send him to Florence to work with this very respected, prominent Florentine painter. And they thought that he could become something of a painter, and so they put him with the best. And so pretty soon he goes and he starts working with Verrocchio was the guy's name. And it's not long after that the artist who was supposed to be teaching Leonardo da Vinci becomes so fascinated with the work that da Vinci is doing that Verrocchio puts down his paintbrushes and says, I will never paint again because Leonardo da Vinci is so talented and I am so humbled by this young man's work that I'm never going to paint again. Now, da Vinci starts painting. He's a great painter. The problem is that Da Vinci is very slow. It takes him forever to paint something, and therefore many of his works are never finished. They didn't get done because he just ran out of time. And you're familiar with several of these. Of course, you'll see that as we go in, here's Da Vinci, true Renaissance man. We'll talk about him in some more of the other things he does in a second. But I wanted to share with you just a couple of paintings. This one right here is called The Virgin and Child with Saint Anne. So, of course, this is an infant Jesus right here. This is his mother, who is Mary, the Virgin Mary. And up above, this is Mary's mother, who is known as Saint Anne. Notice here is like a lamb, and the symbolism that is tied into the lamb representing Jesus being the lamb that would be slain for sinners in the Christian religion. So, but this painting didn't get finished. There's a lot that needs to be done, and so he just basically he stopped. Now, A couple of the other things, if I go forward, this one right here, this is known as the Last Supper. This took Leonardo 3 years to complete. So it was his most substantial work. He was asked to work on it and to complete it. However, when we look at this, there's so much that is here that we'll talk about in just a second. So he was a very gifted painter. By the way, he was also asked to do a statue for the Duke of Milan in Italy. And they said, we want you to do this statue. We want it to be 16 foot tall, and I want my father to be on horseback. Leonardo will work for 12 years, and just as he's about to finish it, French forces invade Milan in battle, and they take the clay sculpture and they shatter it into pieces, and Leonardo's work never gets completed. Now, a couple of other things to know about Da Vinci besides paintings. Also, Leonardo liked to dissect corpses. He liked to study the human body. It is believed that the first drawings, if you will, of the heart and the vascular system and other things come from Leonardo. And what's interesting about this is, remember, it took a lot of time to dissect and to study a dead body. And when Leonardo was doing this, there was no method for embalming. So there was no cleanliness to this, and the smell must have been horrendous, but it didn't stop him, and he will continue to detail some of the most exquisite drawings of the human body before the 20th century, and making also revolutionary discoveries. By the way, it's also important for you to know, Leonardo, because of his study of the human anatomy, led to the design of the first known robot in recorded history. So Leonardo is also known for creating the first known robot in recorded history. It was called Leonardo's robot. Once again, we don't come up with a lot of different names. Well, let me go back and show you this painting that we were talking about earlier called The Last Supper. This is a depiction of Jesus who is in the center along with the apostles just before the betrayal by Judas. This is his best known work outside of one that maybe you'll be familiar with in just a second. Now, it's amazing this work is still in existence because it has been damaged on multiple occasions. When France invaded Milan, there was discussion. The king said, maybe I need to cut it down from the wall so I can take it home with me. In 1796, French soldiers, once again invading Italy, took rocks and they threw it at this painting and hit it. In 1943, when Allied forces in World War II were bombing the area, caretakers of the church reinforced the wall, hoping that it would be enough to keep it safe. It's so interesting that that entire church was destroyed, except for the wall where this painting was on. This was unharmed. But not just that, but there's some other things that are fascinating with this. Some people believe that the person if you look over here, this is credited with being John the Apostle, but there are some people who believe that it's not John, but that it is actually a woman by the name of Mary Magdalene. A couple of other things about Da Vinci. Da Vinci is ambidextrous. Which means that he could write with one hand, he could draw with another at the same time. Leonardo da Vinci was also able to develop a system of writing in which he wrote backwards, so he could hide secret messages, and so very, very gifted. As said, he is pretty much the Renaissance man. Now, the painting that most people know about Da Vinci is this one right here, which of course is the Mona Lisa. A lot of debate with the Mona Lisa. Who is it? Who is she? And also the question is she smiling or is she not smiling? There has been studies done, and studies will say that 83% of the scientists and researchers believe that she is happy and that she is smiling. There is this theory that while Da Vinci was painting Mona Lisa, which, by the way, you have to stay extremely still. This is something that takes hours to do because he was such a slow painter. That Da Vinci brought in clowns and musicians to entertain her while she was being painted. Her portrait was being done. Many people didn't care about the Mona Lisa until 1911, and the reason that she became popular is because people stole this painting. And so when they found out that somebody had broke into the Louvre, which is the museum in France where she is stored, and they saw that there was this empty space, and it caused the director of the museum to resign. There were people who thought that basically it was a hoax, but it had been stolen. The guy was going to try to sell it, but then he realized that there was no way he was going to sell it because everybody was looking for it, and so he finally and gave it up. It was in the trunk of his car. He would be tried, convicted, and he would be put in jail. By the way, it's just fascinating how popular is the Mona Lisa. The Mona Lisa has her own mailbox at the museum. Yes, this painting right here. There are people who write love letters to her, who send her flowers. But not everybody is a fan because there are people who have tried to destroy her. And so they now have this in glass case. Well, quickly, let me go back to Michelangelo. And Michelangelo is pretty much one of the greatest living artists of the time. By the way, at the very beginning of his life, Michelangelo was sent to live and study with the Medicis. He had a steady hand and he was very popular. Another painter became so upset with Michelangelo that he busted his nose wide open, leaving it permanently smashed. And later to that day, the guy said, Michelangelo might be the greatest artist of all time, but the mark that I made on him will last for a lifetime. Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci, even though they were great artists, did not like each other. They were bitter enemies and did not talk to each other mostly. Now, Michelangelo, what is he known for? He's known for a couple of things. The first one he's known for is this that's in the Sistine Chapel. It's called The Last Judgment. Just look at that. That's a masterpiece of work. And he painted this. By the way, a couple interesting things about this drawing or this painting is you can go and study it a little bit more, but Michelangelo inserted his face right here. And another story goes along. As he was working on it, the Pope came, and the Pope was basically looking at this work as Michelangelo was doing it. And the guy who was overseeing kind of the work, he's known as the Master of Ceremonies in the chapel or in where the Pope was so upset with this painting because he said there's so many naked figures in here and we don't need a painting in the church with all of these naked people all over the place, and so this doesn't even deserve to be in a bar, much less in a church, and I demand that you put it down, take it down. Well, Michelangelo didn't think too kindly to that, and so what he does is he actually takes that guy and he puts his likeness and he puts him down here into hell. He actually makes him the what is known as Minos, or the judge of the souls. He gives him two ears that look like donkey ears, and he has a serpent that is biting his genitals. And basically, that's how he felt about what the guy said about his painting. The guy went and complained to the Pope and said, "Look what he did. Look what he drew for me." And the Pope basically said, "Well, technically you're in hell, so it really doesn't matter what you think." Time is running down. I do want to just mention Raphael. Raphael is the most popular painter of the Renaissance. He is called the Prince of Painters, but he died at an early age. And because Raphael died at an early age, everything that he basically knew in art was kind of lost because he passed away at such an early age. Now, what's so big about Raphael? Very quickly, Raphael, he died when he was 37 years old. He fell into his fever. He didn't tell the doctors what was wrong with him, and they gave him a wrong cure, which killed him. So your assignment, if you're interested, and you have to be careful about this so you don't get blocked, but your assignment is if you want to go figure out what happened to him and why he died so early and why he decided he didn't want to tell anybody. The reason being, some people think it had to do with sex.